All right. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody feeling this morning? Good. Awesome. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name, like they said, I'm Sean Wyckoff, and I have the pleasure of serving here at Calvary on the tech team, which is super cool. I love it. Yeah, shout out the tech team. Until a microphone or something stops working, right? And then everybody's eyes slowly makes their way to the back of the room. Yeah, it's totally not a reoccurring nightmare I have. I'm all good. One thing that you should probably know about me, though, is over the past couple of years, I have become obsessed with being the absolute best version of myself. And some just might call me a YouTube University connoisseur. Long name, I know, but basically that means if you give me 2 hours, an internet connection, and some YouTube, just isn't about anything I can't figure out, right? Things like how to change the strings on a guitar, how to tie a tie, or even how to change your car's alternator, right? Let's please not ask my wife about that one. Sore subject. But honestly, one of the most important things that I have learned is the importance of habits. And so we all know the internet has a plethora of knowledge for us to access at any given moment, right? But one, everything on the internet isn't always fact, okay? I thought that at one point, it was wrong. Number two, it can't do the work for you. So before we go looking anywhere else for any information, let's first look to Jesus. Specifically, we're going to look at 3 daily habits of Jesus. Jesus consistently through Scripture has showed us healthy, practical habits that if we applied to our own lives would lead to life change. And so we're going to start with habit number 1. Jesus consistently showed generosity. And let me just real quick before I go any further, I am not just talking about our finances, okay? I am talking about our time, I am talking about our talent, and our treasures, right? So all 3 of those are included in that. We read in Matthew 8, verses 1 through 3, about how Jesus, after giving the Sermon on the Mount, was coming back down the mountain when he was stopped by a man with leprosy who was asking for healing, right? And I don't know about the rest of you, but that probably was a very hard, long, and mentally taxing day. And if it were me, I wouldn't have wanted nothing to do with talking to no one. I wanted to go home and go to bed, right? But when the man with leprosy asked Jesus for healing, right, after Jesus was done with what he was doing, what did Jesus say? He said, "I am willing, be made clean," and the man was healed. This is just one of the many times that we see how Jesus went out of his way to heal the broken, find the lost, and give to others. Habit number 2, Jesus consistently practiced forgiveness. In John chapter 8, we see the story of how the Pharisees brought an adulterous woman to Jesus. This was an attempt to trap Jesus and make him stumble and fumble, right? But what did Jesus say? He said, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And now, obviously, they all were sinners, as we all are, and so one by one, they disappeared. And when it just became Jesus and the woman, he asked her if anybody condemned her. She said no, and it's amazing here we see how Jesus responded. "Then neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, do not sin." And so we read here that forgiveness is a two-way street. And now I'm sure that we all can understand the importance of Jesus' forgiveness or being forgiven, right? But I think there's one element that we often try to gloss over. I know I did for a long time, right? And that's forgiving others. Forgiving that person who hurt you more than anybody who has ever hurt you. And it is hard. It is so hard. Trust me, I've been there. You can't even imagine doing it. But it wasn't until I started following Jesus' example of forgiveness that I was able to truly walk in freedom and let those shackles and those bondages go. Habit number 3, Jesus consistently spent time alone and in prayer with the Father. Jesus actively made it a priority. No matter what he was doing or how tired he may have felt, he went out and he did it every single day. We read in Matthew chapter 1 and in Luke chapter 5, again, Jesus putting in the work. He went out and he was healing and driving out demons from many people. But, again, there's always the but. What did he do after? We read in Mark chapter 1, verses 35, rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed. Jesus often withdrew and prayed. In order to be effective in our daily lives, Jesus knew that we must take time, get alone, and connect with God every single day. It's kind of like your phone, right? You plug it in every single night so that the next day you can use it and you can get things done. But as you're using it and you're getting things done throughout the day, what happens? It slowly drains. Eventually, if you're like me, it shuts off and dies because I can't find my charger, right? Our relationship with God is the same exact way. We need to daily plug in with God, step into His presence, step into alignment with Him in order to recharge and be effective. And if we don't, just like our phones, our tablets, our computers, we may be able to go on for a little while. We may be able to coast, but eventually we lose our charge and we become ineffective. And so what does this mean for us? The Webster Dictionary defines habits as an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. Let me say that again. Completely involuntary, meaning without choice. It is just a part of you, which if we follow after Jesus' example of forgiving others, of being generous, of spending time daily getting closer with God, our lives could look completely different. We would parent different. We would lead different. We would love and we would even speak different. And that's for everyone. Everybody in this room, everybody in the world, no matter who you are or where you come from or what you've gone through, we all have people in our lives that look up to us. We all have people in our lives who don't know Jesus. Somebody that you know needs that example of forgiveness. They need the example of outrageous generosity, the example of what it looks like if every day I got up and I got in the Word. Wow, man. Wow, it's so good, right? By instilling these habits in us, the power of God can work through us and set an example for those around us of what healthy Christianity looks like, right? And so if we want to live a life like Jesus lived, then we must live in the ways that Jesus lived. Thank you.